We're on, Trista.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I was turning down the music on my phone. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Nuestra Tabula Rasa, or NTR, as I like to say, because it's easier. I'm your host for this week, Trista, and today we are diving into the topic of frequencies. And as many of you probably know, I do intuitive energy healing, and that work involves frequency. So, because as we know, and even hardcore culturally accepted science agrees, all matter is energy, and that includes us. Our experiences affect our vibration in lasting ways and often deep ways. And negative experiences, especially trauma, can create ripples in our frequency and store as dense patches. And over time, if we don't address that, then they can manifest into into our physical or emotional bodies as disease. So, don't want that. So, what is frequency? So, it's lots of things. It's everything. If everything is energy, then what isn't frequency? As an example, I make frequency charged water for my clients who come for some of my sessions. And I start with moon and sun water. So I charge it under the full moon for 3 nights, the night before, the night after. I also leave it out for the day so it gets the sun energy too, even though I know a lot of witchy folks think that's bad, but it resonates with me and that's what matters, right? Intention is everything.
Sure. Yeah.
And and then I pour it into cobalt blue bottles that have the chakra symbols on them and charge them with Reiki, with color intention, tuning forks, singing bowls, and vocal toning. So those are all different types of frequency, right? Vocal toning is super fascinating. So that is, there's different syllables that are associated with each chakra. So when you're doing vocal toning, you literally are the instrument, right? So you're using your own voice and your own body to create that frequency. And I just find that so magical. And so, yeah, there's different syllable for each chakra. And they are, if anyone's interested.
Yes.
So the root chakra is.
Can you sing them? I'm serious.
Kind of.
Okay.
Well, my voice might be shaky since I'm nervous, but.
Oh, don't be.
So the root chakra is like as in up.
Like that.
Sacral is as in two. So two or ooh. Solar plexus is O.
Like,
Heart is
okay.
Throat is I as in fly. So I. Third eye is A. A. I don't know why I went higher there, but there we go.
That's good.
A. And crown is E. E.
And do you just put intention on this, or is this to generate a specific field?
So it generates like healing energy in that chakra. So like I used this on Huxley when she was dealing with a bladder infection or something. I don't know. Honestly, the vet didn't even figure it out, and I fixed it.
Excellent.
I used vocal toning in that, but I think what really did it was, the supplements that I was giving her. But anyway.
Hey, intention goes a long way.
Yes, yeah. But it's interesting too, because if you think about it, those syllables, like a lot of them kind of fit with the chakra that they're associated with.
Mm-hmm.
So like being heart, right? That's like just such a releasing kind of breath, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ooh for sacrum, right? Sacral chakra is our sensuality. So ooh is a sensual kind of syllable. Yeah, so next I was wanting to address, because a lot of people, almost everybody in the spiritual community, we'll talk about raising your vibration. It's kind of it's not an accurate phrase because we don't want to raise our vibration. Grounded energy is a low vibration. Like look at the earth. The earth vibrates at a very low frequency, and we wouldn't think that that's unhealthy when we dial into that, right? So it's more about coherence and having that coherent frequency throughout our fields. So that's kind of how I like to say it, even though I don't always do that because it ends up requiring a lot of explaining to people. Um, but yeah, and there is like a raising of our vibration or of our energy happening, and I think that more refers to where we draw most of our energy from. So I think we've been evolving, and there are theories, and I don't remember what like where I had read this, but that as we evolve, we draw our energy from the next chakra up. So we've been in solar plexus energy for a long time, which is power and it can be joy too when it's spun in a good way. But yeah, it's that kind of greedy energy, and now we're moving up to heart, which is love and unconditional love, and so we're headed in the right direction for sure. But that's a whole other show, probably.
What does it? You mean that we're headed that direction as a planet?
Yes, yeah, as a
Okay.
species. I think it is in Hinduism. They have the yugas, which are like
Hmm.
blocks of time. And as we move out of the Kali Yuga and into, I think the next one is Dwapara. I could be wrong though.
Somebody in chat will know.
Yeah. Um,
Probably
but
Mel.
yeah,
Oh,
as we move into that one, then we'll be moving up our chakras. And I think a lot of us are. And I almost feel like a lot of us are moving up even faster. Um, oh, the cats are destroying things. Good. Oh, and yeah, a lot of people will like try to choose a frequency for a chakra, like for a specific chakra, which I mean, you can, but at the same time, I feel like just choosing, if you're buying tuning forks, just choose one that resonates with you, unintended, um, as opposed to thinking, well, this is going to fix this and this is going to fix this. Because if you have something that is meant for you, then it's just going to clear that vibration regardless. So I think there's too much attention spent on kind of that aspect, and especially when you're new to it, because you do really have to be careful. You can throw things out if you're not, if you don't really know what you're doing. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've got as far as to kick us off here. So if anyone wants to continue,
I have
please do. We can have like a conversation instead of a kind of around the table. So
I have a question. So you just
sure.
said about the frequency and how you should go with what appeals to you, and that frequency or whatever appeals to you will fix whatever is wrong with you. When I first started listening to binaural beats, which I'm assuming is all the same thing, right? All these
Yeah.
frequency
Yeah.
sounds. I was told start off with the lower numbers before you go to the higher numbers because you have to build up like a tolerance to that. So would that be in line with that or no? Is that the same thing? Just go with
Um,
what feels to
I
you.
So I would kind of agree in that I don't think it's a building up a tolerance, but the lower numbers are going to be more grounding, right? So maybe the whole idea is to ground yourself before you start working on your upper chakras. That might be why. Um, yeah, I haven't heard that before, so I'm not sure. But
Okay.
yeah, binaural beats, they're two different frequencies, like one in each ear, and
Mhm.
then your brain calculates the difference. So like I have two tuning forks that the difference between them is the Schumann resonance. So you put one in each ear, and it's like, oh God, yeah, I'm right, I'm there.
That's nice. Okay, so that's how I did start. I started working my way up, but I wasn't sure now that you said that if there was a difference. or then you said you can throw yourself out of alignment if you listen to
Yeah,
something that maybe is not
theoretically,
right.
not. I don't know about listening to something like that, but like to be. I feel like tuning forks kind of you do have to use them with respect. I don't know if binaural beats are necessarily. I don't know. I've heard that from someone that I respect who has been doing tuning fork work for ages. That she's like, because when I first started it, she was like, you haven't been trained, so if I'm going to get one for you, I'm only getting you the ohm because that one you can't hurt anybody with. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, I'm pretty intuitive, and I feel like I can, probably learn. But it was, reading a lot more from other people's perspectives too that kind of got me going. Well, I don't feel like I need to be paranoid about it, but it is something that I think we need to do with respect. Here's a good example. So if somebody has cancer, you got to be really careful. In fact, I know Eileen McCusick says just don't go near them because the vibration can be really cleansing, and when you're dealing with something like cancer, that can be really overwhelming to the body and mind for that matter. So you want to be careful with things like that. And then also, if you're using them on the body and pushing lymph around, that can be, physically maybe not so great too, depending.
Interesting, because when I had leukemia, I was not allowed to get massage, and they had just closed down. The hospital had like a holistic training or a holistic, not training, a holistic, that they worked hand in hand with holistic medicine, and they had just actually closed that down. Which
Mm,
I thought, oh, because I would have liked to have taken part of that. And they're like, no, you can't get a massage because you're too tender, and you can't incorporate the other things because, like, I wasn't even allowed to have like green tea or anything
yeah,
because they didn't want anything that killed the free radicals because then it would interfere with the medicine that they were
yeah,
giving me.
yeah,
So it was
yeah,
like none of that.
yeah.
So,
Because the whole idea of cancer treatment is to suppress the immune system, right? So if you're taking anything that's going to help your immune system, then you kind of defeat the purpose. So
okay.
that would probably be why. But I mean, them closing down the program entirely just kind of reeks of big pharma.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was odd. And initially that's what I
Yeah,
had thought. But I mean, I follow the protocol anyway. But okay. So I think that eventually all medicine is going to be frequency and like light medicine as people try to get away from big pharma. But it's
yeah,
interesting. I had a conversation with my cousin last week or July 4th during a barbecue, and she actually runs a school that teaches a whole bunch of different things that are on the holistic side and like veniculture and EKG and all that stuff too. But she told me that people came from a very reputable school. I want to say it was Columbia Presbyterian Hospital over in New York City. And they were looking for people in her Reiki program that would be willing to work with cancer people to do Reiki. And I was like, really? I was like, oh, wow. Okay. You've come a long way because I mean, I was sick in like 2008, and the hospital that I was with was also associated with the big names, and they had just cut it out. And she's like, nope, they're looking to reintroduce it. So it seems that maybe it's coming sooner rather than later, where they're going to be integrating this type of holistic medicine and maybe for now supplementing, not doing away, but supplementing,
yeah,
and maybe people that would not have thought, hey, I could do this to help myself are going to be open to these programs now, and maybe they'll be open-minded enough, or because they see it coming from a doctor. So I think that
yeah,
that's a big problem too, that people are very apprehensive to try something if it's not recommended by a doctor because they don't see the benefit in it. They're like, oh, it's just sound, how can that heal me?
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But sound is even already used in medical treatments, right? Like, how do they break up kidney stones? That's sound.
Oh.
And have you seen the conspiracy thing going around the web concerning ancient cathedrals and also with bells being reestablished? Have you
Yes.
seen the bell thing? Because the bell gives off a certain, it's
No.
supposed to dispel darkness at
Mhm.
specific tones, or every time it's rang, just due to its shape. And I find that fascinating that bells are starting to make a comeback and more people are ringing them. And what was the other point? That was not actually my point. Well,
About
all the different facilities, all the different cathedrals that are built in such a way, and we don't even know how to build them apparently nowadays, but they're built and they're like tuned on the inside to give off a specific frequency just by the shape of them or by what they're made from. You know what? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Some of the cathedrals out there and
I
churches.
think it's the acoustics, the
Yeah,
design,
yeah.
the domes and everything.
Yeah,
But apparently
yeah.
we don't know how to do that now.
Even
Something like
even the
that.
steeple, right? Like how churches would have steeples. That's definitely energetic. 100%. Yeah,
Out there tapping into the field, the greater field or something.
yeah.
Yeah, even the organs.
I use bells in my practice too, in fact. But I use it kind of at the end to break up the energy to kind of get my energy out of people's fields.
So to call your energy back or to cleanse them, you mean?
Well, to more cleanse them. Yeah, kind of just reset.
Very cool. So I have heard of even clapping. Like so if you want to clear the energy, and you have no bell or anything else around, and you want to clear the energy of where you are, which is also why they say when people speak and then you clap, it's the applause. Like that's good energy. You're clearing the air, even for the speaker or
Oh,
something. So there is something to that, what
that's really interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah. So even just mere clapping, if you don't have anything or whatnot, that helps. When you're cleaning your house, if you don't have bells to ring in the corners, right? Because they say that like dark energies or I don't want to say dark, heavy energies will go hide in corners and whatnot when you're cleaning your house. You should hit up the corners with bells too, and uh, and get the noise everywhere,
Wow,
like sage or whatnot.
And
interesting.
even breath could be in that category too, right? So like
Right?
blowing on things are really good. Yeah, to,
I
to
still
cleanse
didn't hear
something,
you.
you blow on it. Breath,
Oh, breath.
breathing,
Okay. In, in,
like blowing on stones can help to cleanse them even in a pinch.
that's interesting. I had something cross. This is kind of energy related, but I had a borax ad come across my X feed today, and they were talking about the benefits of having borax in your house and having it in your laundry and having it here and here and here. And it's like my great grandmother used to live off of that stuff.
I use
And
borax in my
that's
laundry.
what's that?
I use borax in my laundry. Those kids
Yeah.
get
I
their
have
clothes dirty. I throw it in there.
But it's like that. We're discovering things even along with this frequency. I know this is kind of a leap, but you think about just changing the frequency of the things you do because everything has a frequency. Do we agree on that? That everything has a frequency or it's
Absolutely.
at a specific vibration? So if you're adding even something that is natural like that into your body or into your laundry or somewhere, integrating it somewhere in your life, it's making a difference. You're literally changing the vibrational frequency in your area just by changing even your detergent. It's amazing to think about that, about how the very small things, or maybe it's your toothpaste, you get rid of that and you have a leap because it has too much fluoride or whatever in it.
I have a coworker who is obsessed with borax, and he'll suggest it for a lot of things. I think he even takes it internally instead of boron, because boron would be the supplemental version, which is really good for men's sexual health, for bone health, for um, candida, like a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, I've
And
done that.
go ahead, Lucky.
I've taken borax internally. I'm not the greatest person who works in pharmaceutical industry because I'll try all these crazy things and never had a problem with it because I also take baking soda. The thing of all these things though, don't take them without a doctor's
Yes, yeah.
whatever. This is not medical advice. This is just my craziness of what I've done. But the funny thing is about these things is they're cheap and big. You buy them in bulk, and you take them in such tiny doses. It's mind-boggling the benefit you get from such a tiny dose, and I mean minuscule. You just in so much benefit from baking soda is normal. You've heard of people taking baking soda. That's not a big
Yeah.
deal. But again, you take a very tiny dose and it goes a long way. And these things, so many things that we have in our lives that we just pass off as nothing are beneficial and will really help your lives. I mean, and actually, a few months ago, I came upon this. I love French. I love French. I don't speak it very well, but I love it. And there was a song by this artist who sang in French and in English. And in one ear was French and the other ear was English, and I loved it. But she only did one song, and I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. I'm like, this is the greatest thing. I'm going to get all her stuff. No, she did one song like that. It was just a one off. And I'm like, oh no. But these things, sound, the amazing things you can do with sound and what it can bring to your life. And I use white noise and pink noise and brown noise to go to sleep. And it's amazing how soothing that can be. My wife thinks it's annoying, but that's okay. I don't know. Sound is amazing. That's
Yeah,
basic. That's it.
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard they have. I don't even know what the name of the channel is, but at one time when I was big into the binaural beats, there was a channel I came across that had the sounds of the planets, and you could
Oh,
like tune into whatever, if you wanted to listen to Jupiter or Saturn or whatever, and it had different frequencies, and it was supposedly like that sound. I mean, I don't know. I tried maybe Venus or something. I don't know. I don't know if that was the right order or whatever, but it just appealed to me. I was like, oh, let's listen to this tonight, and it was very cool. I don't know how they know what it
That,
sounds like on Venus.
that's interesting, and I'll have to try to see if I can find that. I used to work with a girl whose partner at the time, he called his website, I think it was like Sound of Stars or Sounds of Stars, and that's what he did is he made frequencies that were the stars and planets and different things. He had like a Dispel Darkness one that I loved. And yeah, and he sold them on his website and gave them away to his friends and stuff. But very, very cool. And you'd feel different for sure.
I use an app on my iPad called the Night Sky. It's a really cool. I think I have the paid version. I bought it years ago. But every time you click on a star or a planet or a rocket body or junk in orbit, whatever, a satellite, it gives you a different sound. And especially when you're jumping from star to star to star, it makes the most beautiful sounds when you're tapping it to get the information on it. So just
Oh, that's fun.
FYI, if any of you are budding astronomers, but it's fun because you can track satellites and see flares, see the rocket bodies, and they have it all timed. You'll see it flash, and at a specific time, you can literally walk outside and go boom, and then it flashes very
Nice.
spectacularly, and then it goes away. And then you can check it next time it comes through orbit. Good stuff.
Mhm.
Um,
Josh, you've been so
I'm kind
quiet.
of I'm grateful to be here. First off, because I chased down here from work. Frequencies. When I think of frequencies, a lot of it for me comes through music, the frequency of music, and how for myself, if I'm not centered in myself, or if I'm feeling off centered, how a certain song, and there's maybe a certain singer, or there's a certain song in my universe that probably heard 1,000 times, but the frequency, just hearing that song, the notes that are coming from that song resonates so well with me that even if I'm in a terrible space, it can shift my internal frequency, and I can get uplifted and step into a different vibration just from that song. So for me, when I think about frequency a lot, for me, the clear audio or clear audience is a big deal in my universe, and a lot of what way I interpret the universe is through sound. And so for myself, it's definitely playing like if I'm in it, like when I used to be really dissonant, I would like put on Nine Inch Nails and then just start screaming and play, get into that frequency, right? Or now I can get into Tool, and there's two different ways you can go with Tool depending on if it's new or old, right? And if you know how to swim, but or you can get into the newer stuff and find the higher frequency. So really, for myself, or I can like on a Sunday morning, like really, I'll put on jazz on the right days and just kind of but in my house, there's no frequency. The only frequency is just the hum of the fridge and whatever, because it's always pretty much totally dead silent in my house. But when I'm out and about, especially in the car, to turn myself, I have a playlist. It'll just bring that balance. And I don't know about anybody else, but for myself, music. when I think of frequency, the first thing that comes to mind, absolutely, in my universe, is going to be music. I mean, especially with the job I'm doing now, working at concerts and stuff. It's all about that. But then, if I'm at concerts, though, it's the frequency of the crowd too. I have to be careful of, because the general, if you put everybody together, it's one giant frequency. And so, like at Fish, it was fantastic because we're all love. It's the same love, but at a different show. Like I did not work Metallica for a reason, right? Even though I love them, I can like the music. The crowd and the energy with the frequency coming off that crowd there might be more than an energy I don't need to personally be in. So there's lots of ways to see that. But for myself, it's always tied to music, and I don't know how it works for anybody else in your universe. If music and frequency kind of work together for you to kind of help, and for myself, especially to help keep myself centered and keeled during the day, for sure.
When I was in university, I would, if I was in a mood, I would choose like a not good mood, choose something that matched my mood, and then like slowly, like each song get a little bit better and a little bit better. And it started because I did it kind of by accident, and then I was like, wow, that worked. Okay, and then I started kind of doing it consciously, and yeah, starting with like heavy metal or punk, and then kind of moving up. Ani DeFranco was a nice kind of in between because she's kind of angry, but she's still folk. So kind of like get to where I want to go just through different songs.
Love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So if I'm in a piss poor state, I've got a playlist that I'll balance out. That'll just bring me right into total balance there. And generally, if I'm driving, you're generally centered because you're driving. Anytime you're going to go splat, you have the possibility of going splat. You're generally more centered than you would be otherwise. And so when you're driving, you're really centered because you end your avatar could end real fast. So music centers in a lot faster. And so, yeah, I'll get in the car and just hit my playlist, and generally within a song or two, I'm back in my balance, and then it can get, even as a Cancer, depending on the right song, I can get overly emotional at that point and start going in different directions, and even finding euphoria through the music in some aspects, finding the right song there and just singing through and getting that connected as one with the music, and then finding euphoria through that.
Hey, now
yeah.
that we're talking about music, though, didn't music change? Didn't it move from the powers that be changed
The
music from
Vatican changed it.
432 to 420? Or is it 440? So it's like the
Like 440.
megahertz
I don't know the
pop
numbers.
music. That pop music, like all the popular music, it's at like a dead frequency or something, or it's it had taken its, or to a less effective frequency. Has
Yeah.
anyone heard about this?
Yeah. Okay. So Scotty Boy said 432 to 440. Thank you, Scotty Boy. So yeah, they shifted it so that it would go to a dissonant frequency that wouldn't vibrate with our like vibrate with our heart chakras. And that was the came from the I don't know how the Vatican decided that, but that's where it came down from. I have no idea where they came to. They were working with RCA Victor or anybody else in that manner to set up how music should work or not. But I guess they had the call on that one.
Oh, but see, I thought it happened recently, like in the last 20 years, not like 100 years
I don't
ago.
know. I don't know how long it was.
Oh,
I believe it was pretty recent too. I don't think it was that old, but I don't know, maybe older than 20, but fairly recent.
so
Yeah, I don't know.
Karen asks, so my old music CDs should be good? Like, I don't know the actual date of when the powers that be changed from 432 to 440. I don't know when it
Yeah,
happened,
yeah. Somebody else will look that up.
but I think it's
Yeah, I wonder.
probably like the last 15 years, maybe 20.
But at the same time, I think if it's something that
Okay.
makes you feel good, then it's going to be a
Oh,
frequency matching yours, right?
Scotty Boy said that the World Music Society changed it to 440 in like the 1920s.
Oh wow.
wow.
Hmm.
That's really interesting.
So maybe they were in collusion with the recording industry.
God, just think how much better the 30s would have been if they actually
Oh,
stayed on the good frequency.
But even at that though, what I've learned is, I mean, for myself, even with it being a dissonant frequency, if you have clairaudience, and 50% of the people feel nothing from music, right? And 50% feel something from music, and then you break it down from there. And so even at that, with it being somewhat of a dissonant frequency, though, I still can listen to certain songs and walk off feeling very vibrational, feeling very centered, very energized to want to do something. And in a lot of cases, there's songs that I will listen to just because I'm demotivated, but I hear the song and then all right, let me get off my duff and do what I need to do, so to speak, and get to work. But even if that they changed it, there's still it still has that positive. It can still have that positive effect on people. You get you stand there in front of David Gilmour and he's playing "Wish You Were Here," and you're not going to hear it as dissonant in any aspect. Most of the times, if you're hearing it when I heard it live, it was one of the most incredible moments in my universe. So
Wait, you say 50% of people feel nothing from music?
not nothing, but they not nothing per se, but they don't have that like that heartfelt. Like a lot of people can feel like, "Ooh, this is amazing," and some people, like I met a guy in the army who had he had a plastic plate put over his radios where the radio would be, and he had no radio in his car. He hated music. So there are approximately 50 just don't have that ooh or get that excitement like from listening to a song that you might or that somebody else might. They hear it, they feel, they may even feel a little bit to it, but they're not going to like. But the other 50% are like ooh, and they may actually even get an emotional reaction. They may feel in their heart chakra, or what have you, and it can ring a little bit more clearly for those than the other halves per se.
It's 50% though.
That's what I've heard. But yes,
Wow. Because I have to be careful because if I get the right song, I'm in tears, and it's one of those things. I thought that was normal. I am so confused half the time. I did
that's like
not
so many
know that.
people who can't see, like those people who can't visualize in their head or can't talk to
Well,
themselves.
yeah, that's
Exactly.
another debate in the side because yeah, that's another one that confuses me that I just
Right.
found out recently that they don't have that voice in their head, and
Exactly.
the people who can't visualize it's synesthesia where they can't see images in their head. That's small though. That's like very small amount of people who can't see images in their head. But there are ranges of it. But again, I didn't know it's 50% of people can't feel emotion with music. That's just
Exactly.
Hey, does that tie into the number of people that don't have an interior monologue, an inner
I don't.
monologue?
I'm gonna look
No,
into
that's a
this.
smaller amount, I'm sure.
I thought we spoke about that. Maybe not in this group, but I
No,
thought
no, internal monologue is also 50%. That's another thing that blew my mind. That
Oh, okay. So yeah, there we go. So yeah,
Wow.
it may all kind of tie together there then.
well, I'll have to research because my wife does not have an internal monologue, and it drove me crazy. I'm like, ha. And she's, well, I'm not like you. I don't talk to spirits. I'm like, this isn't a spirit thing. This is a me thing. But she, no concept whatsoever.
Hmm.
We've had conversations, and she says, no, I can sit quietly and, no sound in my head, nothing. I'm like, how? To me, that would be wonderful sometimes, but I don't know how long I'd be able to take it without anything in my head. But
Yeah,
not feeling music, I don't. How can anyone? That's like being a robot. I don't. That's like not having a soul, not being able to feel music.
right.
I don't. I don't know. This is
Yeah,
crazy.
and for myself, yeah, like you're saying, playing in your head, there's always a song in some fashion that's queued up in my head. Right now because of the show. It's what's the frequency Kenneth is playing through my head, and it's just part of that and I can't stop it per se unless I shift songs, try to shift songs or shift energy. But yeah, and it just keeps on playing. But yeah, it's really weird. And the guy I knew from the army, especially, he was the only guy I knew who absolutely hated music would say that music actually made him feel like edgy and like not in space. It was really weird. Like
Wow.
made his
wow.
skin crawl.
Wow.
I
So
wonder
maybe
if maybe he like his frequency was like counter to the frequencies of the music, whether that was like the 440 frequency where maybe that's why it rubbed him the wrong way, or I mean, yeah, that's just the first thing that popped in my head.
Yeah, I have no idea. And Scotty put in there that John Lennon may have used like 432. So a lot of the artists that
That.
we may be listening to or have listened to may have just secretly flipped it to
Well,
432. I'm
I,
sure
I
there's you could go online.
yeah, John Lennon did do that. I do know that he talked about he put it in his music that he made sure it was in the right frequency.
Perfect.
Beatles, a lot of the later Beatles stuff, because the beginning Beatles they couldn't control their stuff because they were
Right.
record label, but later they controlled everything.
and
Cool.
Scotty also pointed out that they used that frequency because they basically made a standard for tuning shows and things like that, for tuning everything. If they're all at the same frequency, then you will know from one piece of equipment to another that everything should be appropriately loud and soft, I guess. I'm not sure,
Sounds
but
like
it
a good
makes sense.
excuse.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
But then a lot of these big, if you look through history, this is my understanding, is a lot of these big, powerful people back in those days changed our education systems and did these sweeping changes on us, basically right in front of everyone's,
Of
because
course.
they're 6 steps ahead of everyone or whatever. But
Hmm.
change and manipulate all sorts of things to keep us to cause our lives to go down a certain path.
Go look up the Titanic and Jekyll Island, and I'm not saying any more. I say nothing, um, just for the show's sake. Go look up that. It just in the night. Yeah, you want to talk about pulling the wool of craziness, things that we don't even. Yeah, it's insane. Um, Absolutely insane what they were. And it's the 20s, right? The 20s and the 30s where they were implementing all this stuff, and then and what did they know and what were they as they were reshaping society at that point to their will and to their frequencies and whatnot. So yeah, it's an interesting. That's when radio came out. Speaking of frequency, radio came out, and then they were just testing television at that point, um, televised vision.
A televised vision. Yeah.
And then look at what that started in the 20s, right? The Great Depression. So, I mean, did they label it the Great Depression as people were going through the Great Depression? It's like they
Well,
were telling people it was the Great Depression.
but
Is that how
another
it worked, or was it afterwards?
there's another deal when the radio first came out, and if you tie that back to the Spanish flu and when that occurred, just like if 5G, yeah, so you can tie frequencies to that too, and the frequency of radio and people getting adjusted to that possibly, and then the Spanish flu happening at that point. But I don't know.
Ooh, that's
There's a
interesting
big tie
take.
into that as well, and of course other frequencies. We have lots of things around in our universe now that spin around right on poles, right, and create frequencies that could actually drop us to the floor in 30 seconds flat if they allowed it, if they chose, because it's military technology.
What is that? Are you talking about drones?
No, the ones on poles, the things that make cell phones work, right? With 5G towers. I don't really want.
Oh, the spinning
Yeah,
around caught me. Okay, okay,
exactly.
I
So
got you.
yeah, we're in such a frequency bind that if you can, at this point, if you can find a frequency that makes you happy, be it a person or a song or something, grab it because I mean, well, all they're doing is we're just in this giant suit. If we could see it, it would be insane. But we're in this giant frequency suit. That's absolutely. It's amazing we can reach through it if you think about it. I mean, I don't know what you guys think.
Well, we are it though too,
Well, I mean,
right?
speaking of using it as a weapon too, I mean, isn't there some kind of, I don't know what the name of it is, but like something that, you guys in the military would know, that you throw and it disables people because the sound messes people up and it leaves them like incoherent,
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they can. Yeah,
right?
there's
That's
sound
what keeps them
disabling.
from
I forget what they're called, but yeah, they use them a lot and like they're built for riot control and stuff basically.
right.
But yeah, you can use sound and drop an entire crowd of 10,000 people in 5 seconds. Boom, they'll all be on the ground going just like that.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, just to disorient them and stuff. And then I know I'd read something on something called like it was a syndrome, a Havana syndrome, where
Hmm.
they think there was
Oh,
frequencies that were making people ill for longer than right in the moment, or people that use frequencies to dispel, like you were saying your friend that he made frequencies to get rid of negative energies, and they play because certain energies can't withstand certain frequencies, so that repels them.
You know what's interesting about this? I was driving across the desert out west one time, many years ago, decades ago, and I heard Art Bell on the radio for my very first time. And I picked him up because I was out in the middle of nowhere. I was on the AM bands looking for something to listen to, and I came across this guy talking about UFOs. And outside of that subject matter, I thought, well, there's somebody on the radio talking about something I'm interested in. But that experience of hearing his voice and it being putting me in that certain mood Okay, that's a certain frequency. But in turn, I got very cozy in my vehicle. I got very cozy because of the words that were being spoken and the subject matter. And then you think about, now I'm generating a specific energy. And that could be what goes out. And there's many others out there having that a very similar experience because they're cozying up to the radio, whether they're a truck driver or whether at home listening or whatever. You're having that same kind of response to that programming. That's very interesting. So here goes back to Josh's point that he's made many times on his show, is that it's tell lies vision. But see, the radio in a sense is doing the same thing because it's created an atmosphere around you. Because like I just said, oh, I just cozy up to my radio. I'm in my car and I got all cozy in the center in my car because I was really into this show and it was kind of cool outside. But in a sense, it's causing you a reaction due to the frequency that you're building off of listening to that show. And that goes to back to the chakras having words that have a frequency. So would not all of our words have a specific frequency?
Well, sure. For spelling, if we're casting, if words are spelling, right? If the English language is spelling, we're casting spells, then everything's a frequency. Well, I mean, it is anyways, but our words are definitely frequencies because we're casting spells with the
Yeah.
words, everything we say. It's a vibration going out. What's coming back, on the other hand, depends on what you're casting out and the centered reason for why you're casting it out, your central vibration, that frequency as well.
And then sub frequencies within the same words, depending on how you inflect it.
Oh, sure. And of
Yeah.
course, lots of four-letter words have their own frequency, right?
Yeah,
Or
because
different frequencies for words that sound the same, like how you don't like morning, right? Which I have no
Right.
problem with.
But
Figure it's all in
The English language is set up like that with purpose. That you're saying to somebody good morning, but it's the same way you would say you're in mourning. There's no, I mean, but really, there's no real difference per se.
but it's in the delivery. It's in your voice and your intention in what you're saying, where the frequency comes through. In my belief.
Absolutely, absolutely, you create that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you can say I'm having a hell of a time, or you can saying this I'm having a hell of a time. And there's two different ways that it's going to be, and it's all based on your inflection.
commas
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
commas, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I was on a really long kick without using the word hate, a friend of mine one time when I said something, I said, "Well, I despise this," and she's like, "What's the difference? What is the difference between you saying hate or despise?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. Just it still feels different,
It's just a fancier
and
word.
I don't know why." But
Wait,
sorry,
what word did you say?
despise instead of hate.
Oh,
But I think also like hate is used so often that maybe that's why it holds more of that energy. Whereas people just don't use the word despise in the same frequency.
I
So
almost feel
meaning,
like despise means like more like not to like something as opposed to like hate is like sounds angry. Yeah,
it does
sounds like
sound angry. Yeah,
right. It sounds like there's no question about it. Whereas
yeah.
despise is like we don't really like it.
Well, and even just how they roll off your tongue, like hate is it's like a chopping feeling sound,
It's definitive.
and despise is just yeah, yeah, exactly.
oh, look at Kim's response in the chat. Despise, spy of.
Ah,
Many lower vibes.
But we could take the USC lower vibes. We could take this into a different level here. Watch the news, for example, like NNC or XOF, and the vibration, the frequency that they're trying to leave you with. When
Oh,
you
sure.
watch that they're putting you into the frequency state, right? That they're trying to kind of dent into your frame there, and then so that you're not in your own frame, you're going to be in a really dissonant frequency state if you watch it long enough. So it's kind of like we're just every which way you go, they're trying to bombard you with a frequency to get their point or to get whatever they need or whatever they want to do with you in some aspect.
But something that just popped in my head a second ago too. I find I've noticed in people there are a lot of people who seem to be able to heal space just by being there. And perhaps they're being born now to kind of combat that, right? Like to be able to fix those spaces and heal the planet and heal the people on the planet just by existing.
I agree.
Definitely. And Scotty Boy made an interesting comment in the chat. If we didn't see it, he said that the sound system, the reason why the first Iraq War went so fast is we just kind of set it up on the road there, and everyone went insane and let them kind of we tested it and it worked really well. And so that's why they were all surrendering. It's because we just kept bombarding them with the crazy sounds, and they lost their mind.
I don't
But
know if
look,
that would
he's
be.
talking
I think
about Dr. Emoto and how, the Japanese doctor that would speak into the water and do all those tests on the water and frequency, and I think he maybe even did it with flowers or something. Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was him.
Yeah, and then Veda Austin still does that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Veda is
Yeah.
really cool. And think about that as an interface though, because the question always comes up. Well, you have these ancient sacred sites all over the planet. How do these people communicate? Well, they used to communicate the easy way. They could have communicated via the water, go up and stick their hand down in the water at a specific time and call their friend that's in Europe if they're sitting in Asia. You follow me? Let the water transmit either through the ether or the water. There's all kinds of these amazing gifts, and that's kind of why I brought the borax earlier. Is so many people, you go back even just 40 or 50 years in our country, and people were not born in hospitals. They weren't. And if they got sick, guess what? They had some home remedy they would give them. Back to the holistic medicine. That's where I was trying to circle around earlier. But no, it gets pushed out by rules and pushed out. Oh no, because that's something somebody can do at home, and it doesn't
Yeah,
have,
you can't.
can't be taxed, can't be
Yeah, and can't.
propagated.
Yeah, and patented.
It didn't start from petroleum.
And look how they say water holds memories. So not only can
Mhm.
it carry the frequency, but it holds the memories. My cousin was telling me that there's something where she's doing at her school where she's doing these meditations in water, and that she finds them to be more healing because of the sound. So she's doing it in pools. She was going to demonstrate it to us last week, and she couldn't. But I'm like, listen, my sister has a pool. I'm like, come over. Let's get together, a little group of just family. I'm dying to see what this is like. And I forget what she called it right now, but yeah, really interesting. Something that she's just starting on now. But I don't know. I don't think it's something that she invented. I think it's something that's out there already. That's like a new healing thing that she's teaching and
Hmm.
doing.
Was it like silent too?
I'm not
Because
really
there's like,
sure.
so there are like, now I can't remember the name either, but it's like a sensory deprivation tank basically, where you lay in water and it's your body temperature and there's no sound. There can be lights or you can shut them off and you're just in there for an hour. It's fantastic.
I've done one of
Although,
those.
Of those
I've done
things.
yeah,
it.
me too. And it was fantastic for me for like the first, like, I loved it. And then suddenly I was like, I'm too hot. I'm too hot and I'm starting to panic. And I kind of opened the thing a little bit so that it would just get a little bit more airflow. And then right then the music came on and it was done. And I was like, oh, well, that was good timing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
it's
doing
like
it.
a pod, right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
It's like a pod, like a tanning bed almost or something. But like we're
Um,
claustrophobic, so
the one I was in was more like a bathtub that was built into like a coat, like a kind of corner in the wall. So you had a place to change and then that,
interesting.
if that makes sense.
Okay, no, yeah, yeah. And she's telling me that no, this is something that's done in a pool. So I don't know if she's chanting or if she's doing something in the water where it would vibrate that the person's like laying on a float is kind of what I've got the impression that she's saying, because she was like, no, it's like she called it a water meditation, I want to say.
Mm.
So I really definitely need to find out more about it. So I wanted to mention this to you guys when I found out that we were doing frequency. Does anyone here or anyone in the audience find that lately they can hear frequencies or hear things? Like, I know, I think at one time we had spoken about like seeing energy. Maybe it was in Truth Wave, like, maybe Victor put it out where you can see like energy fields. And I'm not talking about like when you see the heat rising from the ground, although that it looks similar to that. But now, like maybe even just when it's quiet, actually hearing things.
Hmm. What are you hearing? How's it? Is that working? Are you hearing things?
Not like people talking or anything, but like almost like energy off of things. So I don't
Oh,
know if that's just something that's like a new thing, like hearing energy. But it has to be like quiet, and I kind of have to be out of it. I don't know if this is something that's just a Millie thing or.
That's interesting because because I work at a health food store, and there are so many people that are coming in looking for relief for tinnitus. And I wonder if that has something to do with it. Maybe we're advancing to a point where we're hearing frequencies more and people are like, I don't like this. Like, get this out of my head. And I kind of have a little bit of that when it's quiet, but it doesn't really bug me. But every once in a while, yeah, you get that kind of like where your hearing shuts off and it's just like a buzz or like a beep almost.
Yes, and I think that many of us have experienced that, like where we get like or even like you hear something, a pressure in your left ear, a pressure in your right
it goes
ear,
kind of like, or you can
Yeah,
but
yeah,
feel it.
yeah.
like that. But yes, but this is different than that. But it's only happened a couple of times, and I'm like, that's weird.
It's like the hum from like if I can walk into a room and if the
A
TV's
hum.
on, I can tell you if the TV's on without looking at it. Like I can
Sure.
hear the frequency of the TV. Is that what you're talking? Kind of like that?
It's kind of like a hum, maybe even from plants. Sometimes I get a hum,
Mm.
or like
Oh wow,
yeah, it's weird.
I mean, maybe you're just developing a new modality. It's
Yeah,
just something that's going to be
Yeah,
yours.
different, clairaudient. Yeah,
your clear audience is becoming refined.
Oh,
right.
that's fascinating to think about.
that's cool.
Oh, look at that. Grace says she hears something too. Okay.
Oh, wow. Heaney writes that she heard a voice call out her name at a health food store, Trista. My coworker heard it too. So they both heard it.
Whoa.
Oh,
Oh, crazy.
So that thing had to get to their frequency, I would imagine. Is that how it would work? Or were Heaney and her friend at that thing's frequency? I would think the thing would have to come to you, unless it just happens to bump into somebody that it knows it can communicate with. So this is getting very speculative.
That's okay. I was just about to suggest that maybe they were like existing at a different frequency and it just kind of broke through for a second.
see now Angela put in the chat that her ears are super sensitive and she can hear just regular noise drives her nuts. So maybe she's got something in common with Millie there, where she's hearing vibrations and sounds off everything, or everything like background noise may be amplified.
I could
That's
hear
interesting.
voices talking too at one point, Scotty. And what Karen says, my feet used to vibrate, and I used to feel like if there was like earthquakes or something, and I thought I was going to get like Parkinson's or something. I was like, why do I feel the floor shaking like that? But I think that
Mm.
was just part of my development, Karen. That used to happen a couple of years. Did any of you guys have any of that experience? Any of that?
I had the voices, hearing voices talking. I experienced that one. But, and speaking of frequency, think about how intertwined a lot of us are throughout our various communities. I want to bring that up because we spoke. Trista was sending some healing to. We spoke. Did we speak about this on the air last time?
No,
Yeah, and
no.
about an hour later, I was in my car and felt I could have swore it was a hand on the back of my right, because Josh was like, "Thank you for the healing. It feels real. It feels a lot better." And he reached back on his back. I was like, "Wait a second. I felt something touch me just 2 hours ago, right there on my back, right in the same spot." So it was uncanny. So it was either synchronicity, but I felt something. I felt something. I don't know if that's because Trista doing the healing, but she's like broadcasting more on our frequency, our family, our familiar frequency now, because she's doing something for one of our family members. I don't know the exact connections there, but the thing is did we pick up on it? Did I pick up on it? Because some of our family is out there doing stuff. And did I pick up on it just because I'm part of this network, you see,
I
between
love it.
us?
And we
Okay.
can definitely feel things from other people too that we're close to, especially. But like even close to in proximity, like I'll feel other people's pain.
Hmm.
And sometimes I know and sometimes I don't. And I'm like, oh, why do I have a headache? And then they leave. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's funny now that you mentioned that energetic spot. It's right there. I can go right to it now. Where I have like my energetic blocking. But yeah, so it's funny how even just you mentioning it, well, it flared it up, and it was like right
Mm,
here, right there.
that's common. Just
Really
drawing
interesting.
attention to it kind of activates it again.
Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting.
So clear that.
We're working on it. A lot of it's to be cleared by actions in myself as well, by doing them.
I
Sometimes,
commend it.
sometimes energy blockages have to. You have to just propel yourself to break the block.
No, I just say goodbye. Clear it.
Bye bye.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
this has been stagnant all my life. It's the
Yeah.
non-movement of me energy, and so that's where it has to. I have to move for the energy to start to flow, and I think Tristan knows exactly where I'm at there on that. But yeah, it's truly that sometimes you can't just say goodbye. You have to like create inertia to move the energy and start the flow again.
You know, another thing I wanted to mention about the frequencies to remove evil things or lower vibe energies, and then hearing voices. Um, a while ago, I was into playing a station that I won't mention anymore because I think that the station is not the same anymore. Maybe something happened to the person that
Bye,
was
honey.
the station. Nay, honey. But there was this frequency that I was playing, and he had lots of frequencies actually, like on a loop. And one of them was like to clear the house, and another one's like to remove this attachment and that attachment. And I was playing them all on a loop. And I happened to be sleeping on a different floor, and I heard someone yell my name, so much so that it literally woke me right up out of my sleep. But the house was completely quiet and still, and it was like a yell in desperation. So, lo and behold, I was listening to my frequencies, and you could supposedly play them very lowly. And as long as there was some volume, they would clear out the whole house, right? And I stayed very quiet to see if maybe someone was calling my name, that person, right? It's and if I heard any footsteps, nothing. Everyone was fast asleep, because I even said the person's name very quietly, nothing. But I looked over to see what frequency was playing, and it was one to remove demonic attachments. And I thought it was very
Oh,
interesting because the person's voice that was calling me was very much so like in a desperation, like Millie, like you know what I mean, like
woo.
calling out to me like
Yeah.
that. And it was really just like, and it was the dead of the night. I was literally fast asleep, and I sat right up, and it was really just like I said. You could hear a pin drop, and I said the person's name. Nothing. There was no footsteps. Like I mean, not even the dogs were moving. And then I looked over and I saw that frequency, and I was like, oh, I was like, it is that. I was like, that's what this person has, and I was just putting it out there. But yeah, I've heard
Wait,
my name
that
called.
wait, somebody else had that, or it was something attached to you?
I think it was something attached to that person that was in my house also sleeping, that
Oh, okay.
the
I missed
person
that
was
part.
yelling for me, and maybe the
Oh,
person did have an attachment.
Wow.
So I was just like, that's interesting because I must have messed with that attachment by playing that music, and or maybe I was making some kind of progress and that person was yelling like, hey, it's me back here, help me. So I just found it really like weird,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, but each time you do something like that, each time you change the vibrational frequency around you, it affects so many things, and some people just thinks it's just affecting us, but it can affect your animals. It can affect the vibration around you probably tremendously, depending on how big your energy is. That you're just kind of your standard sphere. We talk about that twice a day. Just whatever your standard sphere is, and you're projecting all this wonderful vibration out around you. You could be impacting. You could be cleaning out your neighbor's house just by walking around one side of yours, and your energies, or it
Anyway,
just depends on how big it is. That's good. It's
I've
fun to
gone
think
through
about.
the whole sage thing, and then sage the whole front of the house. I'm cleaning the whole community. But that goes back to what Trista said too, like that certain people are around certain areas. Like why is it that we're talking like this right now because we don't live next to each other because we probably all still be hanging out, right? Or but we're too concentrated, so we kind of have to be in certain places that
Nodes.
we're called to be, right?
We're
Yeah, the
nodes.
nodes, exactly, so that we can take care of the energies where we are and do
But
whatever it is we need to do.
but then at the same time, connecting like this, the energy is still flowing. So we have that physical exchange, and then we can have an exchange over distance like we are right now. So it's like this big web around the planet now. And I think that's where, the internet has really kind of helped to shape
Heck yeah.
and to lift us up, right?
I agree. I agree.
Definitely.
Oh, there was one more point I was just about to bring up. It was about that. Oh, back to the 5G. About once a week, I go out and cleanse it. I go cleanse it in my area. I just put this golden sphere around me and just cleanse everything in it with intention of cleansing that 5G. And even just showing you guys it's doing it. I'm doing it. And I just cleanse it out and just make this nice dome around me. And it gets larger. Now it's around my city. And I just stretch it all the way out, all the way around the globe. And because I believe 5G is very weak, it's a very weak signal, but it builds up on us or something. That's my understanding of it.
It's a
And
matter of how much power they turn on or not.
but it's very easy to cleanse. It's very easy to cleanse, and it doesn't like get. It takes a while for it to get to where it bugs us per se, or to where it influences. I don't know. I was just led to start cleaning it. That's all I know. I was just led to start cleaning it, and so I take my cleansing all the way around the world, of course. But I start right here, and if I only have time, it's just going to be my area for now or whatever. But I try to give the planet its due and cleanse it, even if it's just clean for 2 hours. That's 2 hours we didn't have to be bombarded by it.
Excellent.
I remember reading, I know we're over time a little bit, but this is really interesting. And I mean, I have nothing to back this up, but I remember reading that around the time of the invention of the telephone, people began being able to communicate telepathically a lot more easily, and more people being able, or reported being able to. And it's almost like we showed our brain that we don't need to be with another person to communicate with them. They can be way over there and we could talk on the phone and everything's clear as day, right? So that makes me wonder because if it was the advent of the telephone that kind of led to that, then what's going to happen now, right? When we're all able to communicate in multiple ways across the whole planet. Even I thought of this one time when I was like having a conversation in a comment thread in one place with one friend and a bunch of other people, and then in another place with the same friend and a bunch of other people. And that's when we started talking about it, like, hey, we're like having these multiple conversations at the same time. And it kind of creates this this web of exchange. So as we evolve, we're kind of leading ourselves that way where we can communicate and commune without actually being in the same space.
100%. Look at those people that know that something happens to a loved one and
Yeah,
they're like hundreds of miles away or whatever. The husband's at work and the wife is here, the kids at college, or and they just know that something's up with the twins, right? Twins supposedly have this. They would test twins
yeah,
for this all the time. And one would feel what the other one was feeling and stuff. So yeah, I
yeah,
believe it. Look at me when I call these people in. I'm like, hey, get to Truthway, where are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I do it. And sometimes, they show up. So was it coincidence or did they hear me? I don't know. But I'll keep trying and I'll keep working it.
And it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bow out now because I've
Yes.
got like I could speak 16 more different topics on this. So I'm just gonna stop right here since we're at the top of the hour.
Great topic.
Yes.
all right.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, it's 5 after, so wrap it up. And thank you everybody for coming and listening. And thank you, Lucky and Victor and Josh and Millie, and for indulging me in this. And yeah, thanks everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Have a wonderful
See you
evening. We'll
next week.
see you
Thank you,
next Sunday
Trista.
night.
Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, see you in the morning, it should be.
Namaste.
Definitely. Bye-bye.
See you in the dawning, guys.